today's topic is about troubles. So we know this is a very common topic that everyone knows about, but what exactly we can understand from the word troubles or having troubles, right? Just before I go into the subject, right, I just want to understand how many of us have seen troubles in our life. It's a very common thing, right? We have everyone almost some point in time we have seen troubles, right? But what exactly it is? Even the verse which Jesus said, I've taken that as a theme verse. In this world, you will have troubles. He did not say you may have troubles. You will have troubles. We always stop there. But the other verses, following verses, but take heart, I've overcome the world. But what is that overcoming the world? And what does that mean to us? That's what I want to talk about. Okay. So I've sent the slide to everyone about the points to ponder. There are three questions. One, does God allow troubles in your life? This is a question that everyone has their own perspective. Second, do we how do we handle trouble? How do we handle a trouble? And third one is, did Jesus have trouble when he was here in this world? These are three questions we will talk about. Right? We talk about trouble from the experience and the definition of trouble that is in our mind, right? But what exactly is trouble? If I can try to mine it or dig it from the scripture, right? So I'll just give some tidbits, right? What is darkness? Very simple, right? There is nothing called darkness, even scientifically. The absence of light is darkness. And what is cold? It is absence of heat. There is nothing called cold. It is absence of heat. Scientifically, this is what they say. Definition. Now, what is evil? The verse, yeah, I'm gonna come. The verse that we see evil very first time that is written in the Bible is in Genesis 2:9. The tree of life was also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. What is evil? The word evil in Hebrew, it is adversity. Right, one second. Ra. 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 So the word Ra is made of two. Okay, before I give this explanation, because we have two people, I'll just give a background of Hebrew letters. See, there are 20 in this word adversity, which is in Hebrew called Ra. One is Resh. The Resh, the pictogram or symbolic representation of that is a head or man, a person, right? And Ra, which is Resh, and Ayin. Ayin is to see or to experience, right? That's the word. So if I put it together, evil, what is evil? To see one's self or myself. If you clearly read the scriptures from the Bible, the first thing what Adam did was, as soon as he ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the very first verses, he saw himself naked. So the first thing he saw is he saw himself. To see one's self is evil. God, created us. I have a slide to say, right? Okay, I'll come there. So man was created to see or experience or behold the beauty of others, not one's self. The moment you start seeing yourself, that's where the evil starts, right? So the verse here, Genesis 3:10. So Adam, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid, and because I was naked, because he saw himself, I hid myself. He saw himself naked and hid. So this is the verse. So just to give, we know what is evil, but if you just think about the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right? God says, if you eat from the tree of life, you will have life. But if you eat from the tree of knowledge of evil, there is death. It makes sense. but there is an element of good there. Even if you pursue to eat the element of good, that will still lead to death. How can something good can lead to death? Right? That's a question. So then what is good? That should be a question. So the word good in Hebrew is Tawb, Towb, Tawb, which is uh, Tet, Wow, and Beth. Tet is represented in, if you want to come here, Tet is represented as a basket in pictogram. Wow is represented as a nail or a peg. So if you want to understand what's a peg, right? When they put the tabernacle, they put all the sheets around and they put the peg to make the tabernacle stand firm. So to in its place, it will put one thing to in its place firm, like you're just nailing it. That's what the nail comes from. You nailed it, which means like you have made it firm. And Beth or Beth is the house. So good is the basket that carries the peg to place you or to nail you to that house, which is the presence of God. So good is nothing but it's a basket or it's a tool. So that's why there is two types of righteousness. One is the righteousness that comes from the law, and the other righteousness is the righteousness that Jesus imparts in you. So when God said, you will, when you eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is good means, is giving you a tool to nail yourself in the presence of God. It's like a tool that is given for you to make yourself righteous, to put yourself in the presence of God. He's not putting you directly in the presence of God, but He's giving you a tool to put yourself in the presence of God. That is to nail yourself in the presence of God. So that is what the good part is. The good part is nothing but a tool. But the righteousness that comes from Jesus Christ, He nailed it to the cross, which is He did the part, and now because of what He did, we are already in the presence of God. You don't have to be good to be in the presence of God. In short, right? So this is good. So we saw evil. Evil is nothing but what it is, to see oneself, and good is nothing but to nail yourself or to put yourself into the presence of God using the tool that God has given. In this case, the tool is nothing but the law. Okay, so we saw what is good and what is evil. A small tidbit is, I told this already, but I thought putting this slide here, right? The only reason, if you see your entire design, how God created, He placed the eyes or designed us in a way that eyes is kept, that you can never see or know how you look without a reflecting object. You can only see yourself, or you are created to behold the beauty of others. That's how you are created, not to see yourself. So, going to what is trouble? I messed up with the slide. Okay. Better is a little with fear of the Lord than great riches with trouble. The word trouble here is again, I think I messed up this. No, okay, I didn't mess up. This is the right slide. Here we see Ra, evil. What did we see in evil? To see oneself. But here, Ra is evil, but trouble, the word trouble, akar, is ayin, kaf, resh. So the only word that adds in between is kaf. Kaf is represented in palm, like carrying it, right? So if you actually look into the actual picture of kaf, it is a bent arm, like something like carrying. That's the picture, actual picture. So the trouble, if I put all these three together, by definition, trouble is nothing but to carry the evil, or in other way, to carry the absence of God. Does it make sense? So, Resh When Resh is evil, sorry, Ra is evil, Resh and Ayin, Ra, that is to see or to carry, right? To see, which is evil. But when you add, oh sorry, when you add kaf to it, which is trouble, akar, the word akar in Hebrew, and kaf is to carry. Now, if you put all three together, evil and adding that kaf together, you're carrying the evil. With what is evil? To see oneself or not to see God. See, you are created to see God and see others. But the moment you see yourself, you're not seeing God. You're not seeing or carrying the presence of God. So, trouble is nothing but to carry or to see the absence of God. Right? So, whenever you have trouble, which means in any instance of your life, if you're not able to see the presence of God, if you're not able to see carry the presence of God, that's where the trouble is. That is the trouble in anything. It might be your children, it might be your spouse, it might be your office, it might be anything. If I'm not able to carry the presence or see the presence of God in it, there is trouble. Yeah. The point is, but here the part is, you can be a resource for others not to see the presence of God. So you can give trouble, you can receive trouble, or you can even carry trouble.
First one, what you do to Manoj. Second, what you do to
இப்போ trouble புரியுதுல, trouble is basically carrying the absence of God or not to see the presence of God. Not to see, or you're not seeing the presence of God. When you don't see the presence of God, that's where the trouble is.
That's why you think that situation is a trouble to you.
You don't think, it is. When you don't see, it becomes trouble. It is the trouble when you don't see the presence, right? Wherever you don't see the presence, wherever you don't carry the presence, you have trouble there. Jesus had trouble in only one place in this world, I'll tell you. Okay? This is what I explained. Ability of mankind to see the absence of God everywhere. For example, in household work, at your work, and in family, in spiritual life, you think that you do not carry the presence of God or you don't see the presence of God during your studies or with your relationship with your boss or with anyone for that matter. So, the meaning is ability of mankind to see. I mean, again, this is a definition I'm just trying to give with the worldly experience, right? Ability of mankind to unsee. When I say unsee, the presence of God is everywhere. The presence of God is all around the place. Like David said, நான் மரணத்தின் பள்ளத்தாக்கிலே நடந்தாலும் அங்கு பொல்லாப்புக்கு பயப்பட தேவரே நீங்க என்னோடு கூட இருக்கிறீர். Like for your presence is there even if I step into the Hades. Right? That's how the presence of God has filled us, but it is our ability to remove everything that God has given and to unsee the presence of God. That's where the trouble starts. Where do we find this trouble? In this world, you will have trouble. It is everywhere. The presence of God is everywhere, and the absence of God, actually, it's not everywhere. It is your capability to see everywhere. Right? Your the fact is the presence of God is everywhere in this world. Where is trouble? The trouble is everywhere in this world. Yena, it is your ability to unsee the presence of God everywhere.
or not be able to see the presence of God.
Okay? So then what do we need to do? Here, Jesus says, like, most assuredly I say to you, the Son can do nothing by himself, but he sees what the Father does, and whatever he does, the Son also does it likewise. This is a verse which astonishes. Can Jesus not do something? The ability of Jesus not to do something. Is it possible? Bible says it is possible. But why is it possible? Because he exactly stood on this earth as mankind. He represented us. He went through exactly what we have gone through, but in our capability, in our ability, he was able to see the presence of God. That gives us a assurance that we can, in any place, see the presence of God. That is our assurance, right? So, Jesus was surrounded with troubles. So, how did he overcome the world? What did Jesus see? He saw the Father. Jesus always carried the presence of the Father in everything he does. He also said to that extent that I and Father are one. The Father is in me and me in Father. That is the level of extent to which he carried the presence of God, presence of the Father. So, trouble is to carry evil, the absence of God, but Jesus always carried the presence of the Father with him. Now, how does that help me? Right? Okay, Jesus did that. He carried the presence of the Father. But the beautiful thing that Jesus said is, he who has seen me has seen the Father. Right? And in that, whoever have seen the Jesus, or whatever Jesus knew, or whatever Jesus think, or whatever Jesus can do, or whatever he does, we can do, because the same Holy Spirit who raised up Jesus is in us. Whatever he does, we can do. And if he is able to overcome the trouble, to an extent, say for example, he was walking on the sea, right? Water was not an hindrance for him to go and reach his disciple. And the storm, he was able to say a word, not even actually in Greek, it's not even a word, it's just shh. That's the word he used to put down the storm, to calm the storm. That is the level of presence that he carried in this world, presence of the Father. So, if I put everything, before I want to end this, right, I want to first today put a Kuti story in before I summarize the task. Summarize, right? I want to give this Kuti story. Okay, I'll just give you a background about this thing. The person, this is a small video clip I want to give today. This video clip, this person is a colorblind. Okay, and I want you to see in this perspective. He has always seen only the troubles in this world, which is like color. So, with this, not the color, black and white, right? But he had an opportunity to see the presence of God. But how do we react even before seeing the presence of God? And after seeing the presence of God, how our perspective changes. This is what I want to tell in the story. If everyone wants to just listen to this, please. Yeah.
I'm 65 years old. 65 years old. See color. More.
இருங்க ஒரு செகண்ட் இந்த ஒரு செகண்ட் இருங்க
வீடியோல ஆடியோ இருக்கு
again sorry guys you want to see the again oh sorry I didn't share okay
வால்யூம் இருக்க பாருங்க யூடியூப் எண்ட்ல லெஃப்ட் சைடு எண்ட்ல இருக்க பாருங்க வால்யூம் இருக்க பாருங்க
நல்லா கேக்குது. I have gone 65 years without seeing color. And it is more of a big deal
captions
to you guys than it is to me. See these videos where people get emotional. And I'm not really
That's okay. I just want to see how well they work.
a wrestler.
Wait, don't put them on yet.
I was beat up by the biggest man in the world.
That's okay. 1, 2, 3.
Takes time to adjust, it says.
It's totally different. We'll have to get some of Harmony's books out. We'll have to do the colors.
Can you see this?
Right.
Yeah? Yep. Yep.
Holy smokes, huh?
So, what I want to say from this story is, right, the world around you is always filled with colorful things, which is the presence of God. When you think you see a problem, when you think you have a trouble at some point in your life, it is nothing but your not to see the presence of God there. So, many times the colorblind is like we always see the gray part of something thinking it is gray, but it is actually beautiful. If only we have eyes to see the beauty inside of that, right? That is carrying the presence of God. You might have a lot of problem. I thought now you guys know my relationship with Josiah. I sometimes have hard time with him, but in recent months everything changed because my perspective with Josiah, he didn't change, but my perspective with Josiah changed, which eventually changes him as well, right? Which is an example which in my life it's happening. You can ask Satya, right? So it has always been there. The presence of God has always been there. It is how I change to start seeing the presence of God in our life that matters. So we are surrounded with troubles, but seeing is powerful. What you see matters, and how you see matters. Make us so seeing is powerful, so that it makes us to walk in the midst of trouble as though they never existed. So summary: trouble exists everywhere, but when you see and carry the presence of the Father, it will appear to you as though they never existed. It's absolutely about carrying the presence of God and seeing the presence of God in everything. Learn to see, and next one is the Spirit of God will teach us how to see the presence of God in every area. Thank you.